So welcome to Lynn Power's Tai Chi session. I'm Philip Sheridan. I'm the founder of Discover Tai Chi. To people who are watching later, hello to you guys as well. We continue our journey into the Shibashi set, Shibashi meaning 18. And we've moved quite a long way through the set. If I remember rightly, we've got to pretty much almost 12 movements. We'll see as we go along. What we're going to do is start off with the earlier movements, but spend a little bit less time on those and spend a little bit more time on the newer movements, just to give people more opportunity to practice and familiarize themselves with them, so that when you review the video, you can feel confident that you are doing them in the manner that suits you best. So I'm going to do my mix of standing and seated for those people who are seated and standing. All the movements can be enjoyed seated or standing, just to let you know. I'm going to push my seat back, start seated, kind of work in blocks of 3, I think, this time. So Chi Shi, our opening movement, our 3 movements are very much scene setters, so we can think of them in that vein. So just follow along. If you wish, you can have a breath in, followed by a breath out if that feels right for you. I'm just going to do this 4 times. We won't linger too long with this particular movement. And we'll just segue into our second movement. Open the chest. I like to think of this as a Chinese term called Kai Men, which means to open the door or opening doors. So I kind of like that idea. Opening the doors wide. And if it feels right for you to take a big breath in, followed by a breath out, then do so. Enjoy that feeling. And again, we'll do this for the final time, so 4 movements and down. And then raising hands overhead. It's as if we're holding a ball and we're tilting that ball. I won't say which side, just go to one side. If you're standing up, try to send the hips in the opposite direction to the ball. And if you sat down with me, try to put a bit of emphasis into the opposite hip, just to give yourself a bit more balance and stability. Let's go once more on each side, just for this particular movement. Lovely. And down. Okay. So that was our first group of 3. The next movement, a bit more familiar for some of you, called Parting Clouds, or we call it the Fountain or Happy Days. And we're just opening up, just like that. And then we let the hands fall down. And then cross the other hand in front and open up again. Here we go. And then we'll do this just 4 times, just so that we can spend a bit more time with the movements that we're less familiar with. But those are a good opening set of movements. I'm going to stand up now for the next few movements, just because I want to be able to demonstrate them in different guises. Our next movement is called rolling arms. We know it from Yang style Tai Chi as repulse the monkey. I'm turning to my right, I'm lifting both palms, and then I'm pressing my right hand forward. Looking to the left, and then pressing my left hand forward, like so. And I'm just alternating from one side to the other. If I was to turn side on to the camera, here's my right hand pushing through. That's it. And here's my left hand pushing through. So it's quite a big movement. We'll go one more on each side. So some important rotation going on there. Rolling arms. That gives us 5 movements. Next movement, rowing the boat. We start to circle the hands and arms. Small at first, gradually increasing the range within which we move. I'm going to have to step back. I know my hands are going to at some point disappear out of the frame at the top. But if we think of this like a butterfly swimming stroke, you get the idea. We can really open the chest up if we feel comfortable doing so. And then up again. It's a really big movement, big and expansive. Let's go one more circle. And bring it all back down. Casting your cares away is our next movement. It's number 7 out of the 18. If you're standing up, we want a bit of a wider stance. Maybe toes turned out, even those of us who are wearing prosthetic limbs. If you sat down, again, try to have a good base of support in your seat. Try to have this sense of growing upwards, ground up. Left hand casts our cares away to the right. And then I take my right hand and now cast my cares away to the left. And I'm just alternating hands. As I turn left and right. Casting my cares away. So more rotation. Quite a challenge for the balance. We're moving the head, we're moving and rotating the torso, and we're bringing a hand across the center line, which can be a challenging movement all in itself. We'll go one more to each side. Just spend a bit more time on this one, just because it's a little more challenging. Okay? Casting our cares away. As we progress through Shibashi, the movements begin to be a little bit more challenging. So let's move on to the next one, which is gazing at the moon. This is a movement of rotation, but it feels like a spiral, spiraling upwards. The moon that we're gazing at is above us and behind us, and we're turning to look toward it. For some of us, it could be that that turn is no more than turning to the right and left. And for some of us, we may have the range and the balance and confidence to do a really good turn. Again, you know the rules. Work comfortably. I'm turning to the right, lifting my hands and arms and looking up to an imaginary full moon. And then I lower the arms and do the same on the left side. And again, you may notice that you have different range of motion on left and right sides. I can turn much further on the right side compared to the left side. And I'm not forcing the left side to match. I'm just going with what feels comfortable on both sides. Taking my time. Breathing just comfortably, not thinking about the breath. I'm aware that I'm breathing, but I'm not focused on it. I'm more focused on maintaining my stance and balance and just moving easily from one position to another. If we had maybe one dictum, it would be that we're seeking out ease of movement. We're seeking out the easy way to get from one position to another. This will be a theme that we'll continue to explore as we go through these sessions. And for people who have joined me previously over the years, you'll know that this is a common theme of us finding the ways in which we can move from position to position in the most balanced and economical way that we can. Okay, so that was gazing at the moon. Next movement, more rotation again. So we're certainly in a block of rotation movements. So I like to call this two soups. You see that I'm just holding my hands as if I'm holding two soup bowls. I'm going to tip my right hand bowl of soup and push it across to the left. Turn my hand over, bring back and fresh bowl of soup, and then tip the left hand and push it to the right. So we've got rotation and a nice stretch going on through the shoulder as we push away diagonally. Look in the direction of your push. So I'm pushing to my right, so that's the direction I look in. And then I'm pushing to my left in this case, and I'm looking to the left. I'm just alternating. I'm trying again to maintain my balance. I'm trying not to let my legs twist or turn, but to maintain a stable stance and allowing my pelvis, my shoulders, head and neck to go with the movement. Seems simple enough, but I think this is quite a challenging movement. You can tell me at the end. So let's do one more on each side. So this is going to be my last one. Okay. Pushing palms. Sun palms, sometimes we call it. Okay. So next movement. Hopefully a bit more familiar for some of you. Cloud hands or waving hands in clouds. Again, I'll stay standing. Let's have our right hand on top. Here's my right hand, left hand down below. It's an embrace. I'm holding someone close. We're about to engage in a dance. And because the right hand is on top, between their shoulder blades, the left hand below in the small of the back, the right hand tells me to just turn gently to the right. I'll take that hand off, swap hand positions, left hand on top, turn to the left. And we begin this lilty sweep from one side to the other. Once again, hips, shoulders, head and neck turning with the movement. If anything, the head leads the movement with a little turn just before we set off in that direction. That's a subtle little kind of advanced element to kind of lead the movement with the head with a little kind of turn or a glance of the eyes in the direction in which we intend to go. Purposeful leading as we go from one side to the other. You'll notice that there's some weight transfer going on, subtly, but sufficient for the purposes that we want. Okay, let's do two more, one on each side. So as I said, we're now spending a bit more time with these movements that we haven't practiced quite so much, and then we let the hands melt away. Have a little walk on the spot if you can, or a bit of a movement break if you're sat down. Okay, 10 movements. So let's press on, do a couple more at least. The next set of 3 movements are quite challenging. It involves a tilt of the body, not a hinge of the hips, but a tilt of the body. Our first movement in this more challenging set is called Becoming One with the Sea and Sky. We've looked at it previously. If we can, we're taking a pace. And as I've discussed before, this can be incredibly challenging for people with transfemoral amputations and lower limb prosthesis. It's difficult enough with a below knee amputation. So again, I'm urging you to be just mindful of working in a way that suits you and not necessarily what I say or do. Again, we need to use our common sense here. If it's at all possible, though, we're bringing some body weight forwards and just tilting a bit. Can you see that tilt? From my head going back down to my foot. I know that's a difficult position. And then I'm tilting backwards. See that? And then I'm lifting back. So my tilt does not need to be particularly large. It can be subtle. Just by taking the head off the center line is a significant event, particularly when we're wearing and using lower limb prosthetics. The old adage is where the head goes, the body follows. And in this case, we need to be very mindful of that and just work as comfortably as we can. I like to think of this as scooping up the sea and then casting it into the air in a rather dramatic fashion. So let's just do that. Okay. We're going to go to the left side or left leg, and for that side, I'm going to demonstrate it sat down. Again, just for those purposes of balance. And if we're sat down, whichever side we're going to, if you choose to sit down or I'll sit down, push, if you can, that lead leg forward. So this is my left leg and I've pushed it forward. It gives us some support if we are sat in a chair in which to lean forward. And again, that lean is relative to you in terms of how confident and how stable you feel. The same idea is there. I'm scooping up the sea and then casting it upwards overhead. It's a really evocative idea, becoming one with the sea and sky. I really like it. I hope you do too. And again, just breathing comfortably. Again, you may get the notion that you can have a big breath in, followed by a big breath out, if that feels okay for you to do. Let's do one more. And come to a rest. Okay. So, as I said, the next kind of couple of movements after that one involve the same kind of footwork or same stance. So again, all those kind of cues and ideas about maintaining stability apply to this next movement, which is called pushing waves or making waves. We're using the same stance. So I'll start on the right side. I'm seated. When I do the left side, I'll stand up. But I'm now pushing my prosthetic forward to act as support if I'm seated. If you're standing up and you're able to take that step, as we did before, do so. And again, look after your balance. This time I'm imagining a tray full of water, lovely warm water, and the tray has no end. It's like an infinity tray or an infinity pool, if you know what I mean. And we're placing our hands in that tray of water, and then with a bit of a push, lean forward, we send a wave out. And we pick the hands up. Imagine water dripping from the fingertips as we roll them back, and then we push another wave out. Gently lift the hands free, replace them back in the tray of water and push once more. I love this movement. It's so redolent of waves coming into a beach, ebbing, flowing. If you feel confident, when we go backwards, you can really go back, leaning back, and then go with the push again, but that's all relative to you and how you feel. But go nice and slow, have that sense of a wave building. And going away. Let's do that one more time and then we will swap to the other side. I'm going to stand up just to demonstrate, this time using my left leg as the lead leg. Let's move my box out of the way. I hope that's not in the way. So I'm taking a bit of a pace forward with this left leg. Might seem strange, but this is the side that I'm least balanced on. I'm more balanced with my prosthetic side. So again, who knows what will happen. But again, I start off gradually with this push. Go back and then push. Just like so. So there's a to and fro in the stance that goes with the hand motion. Again, the breath out can feel just right as we push, and the breath in feels good. Again, if it feels right for you. One more time, shall we? Again, spending a bit more time on these movements. They're difficult, they're challenging for us who have challenged balance as a consequence of limb loss. So we shouldn't underestimate. I hope the challenge is manageable. Again, let me know at the end if these movements are really too difficult. We need some challenge. That's how we get some benefits and some growth, but we don't want that challenge to be beyond our range of possibility, and we want that to be something that feels that you can manage and accomplish. Okay, final movement involving this same stance, this same to and fro. It's called various things, but I like the evocative name that the white dove spreads its wings. That's rather nice. We start, again, I'm going to start on the right side, standing up, and then I'll demonstrate seated on the left side. Open wide those arms, or imagine you've got open wings, and then we're going to push forward and close our wings. And once again, there's a bit of a lean forward, touch the wingtips or fingertips, and then push back and open wide. And then once again, push forward, close, pushing back, open, let the chest open. Again, it lends itself to an in-breath and an out-breath if you feel like it. But again, you might be more focused on maintaining your balance and stability at this point, so that's the thing to focus on. When you relax and are more able to manage the movement, that's when we might think about the breath a bit more. Let's do one more open and one more close on this right side. And then step back. And again, as I said, I want to demonstrate that from a seated position. Same stance, same ideas in place. I'm pushing my lead leg forward. That gives me something to push into, some support. And then I'm starting, arms wide, and there's a bit of a lean forward, and then a bit of a lean back. Again, relative to you and your circumstances. Coming back, pushing forwards. Pushing forwards. Again, if you want to breathe with the movement in a way that feels right for you, do so. Or if you want to focus on just the movement itself, that's okay. Let's do one more and finish here on that point. So that's 13 movements. That leaves us, if my maths is correct, with 5 more movements, doesn't it? 5 into 13 makes 18. So we'll tackle another movement next week. Let me know how those last 3 movements have been, how challenging they have been. But let's begin to bring things to a close with our 18th movement. This is how we've been closing the session. So in some respects, we only have 4 more movements to go, haven't we? Because we're jumping ahead now to movement 18. I'll do this seated, but again, if you're still standing, start off with this push the hands forward and a lift back and a draw in for dropping the hands down and pushing forwards again. This nice sense of gathering and bringing in and toward us. Just like that. And down. Again, a breath in can feel right as we draw the hands in, and a breath out as we push the hands away. But only if you feel that suits you. And again, it makes a nice closing movement to round off the set. And we'll finish there. So if you were to incorporate some of these movements in your day, then make really useful movement breaks. I almost think of them as being almost kind of quite intuitive stretches and things that we might do if we've been in one position. We've been sat down maybe in a position for a long time. They're the kind of movements where we want to just kind of open up and really expand and stretch our limbs. So I hope they kind of have a sense of feeling nice and natural, but also different as well, and that there's some challenge involved as well. So thank you for joining me this evening. I hope that's been interesting. I hope those last 3 movements haven't been too challenging. You can always get in touch with any questions via the WhatsApp group, or you can drop me an email, which I'll pop into the WhatsApp group, but it's info@discovertaichi.uk. So I'm going to head back towards the camera. I hope the microphone hasn't been too distracting. I hope you've been able to pick up my voice okay. And I'll switch off the recording.